I'd like to begin with a quote by a spiritual teacher, a teacher that loves Meister Eckhart and Rumi, and it's not me, but. And his main focus in his teaching is on oneness and the presence and awakening consciousness. And he says, Eckhart Tolle, the primary cause of unhappiness is never the situation. Rather, it's our thoughts about the situation. Boy, was that true for me yesterday. Wow, I have wanted a new bathtub, really bad. And we've been planning it for a year, trying to work on it and get it done. And my daughter-in-law is an engineer, and she works in gray water systems, so she knows a lot about plumbing and valves and welding and doing everything. And so she said, well, you have to sit in the bathtub first. So it took us a long time to go around and sit in the bathtub and find it. Finally found one. And then find out you have to not only, I thought you just put in a new bathtub, but you have to take out everything else. And so we got somebody to do the work, and we had to get all the stuff. And so it's taken us a year to get it all together. So the contractor was going to pick it all up yesterday morning and do that. And we had the tile, and it had been sitting on our porch in boxes. And so he gets there and says, the plumbing supply company wasn't open this morning. On a Saturday morning, so he didn't have any product. And so we went in to show him the tile, and of course the first box of tile was all broken. The rest of them were packed well. This one was not packed well. But instead of being in the problem, he was the nicest man, and he had two wonderful workers with him, an older man and a younger one. And it's like, well, what are we going to do in this question? He said, well, Kirk and I work on Saturdays, so I thought I'll be in my office with the cat and just work. Well, he said, let's see if we can get valves here and get valves. So I'm on the computer trying to find all these plumbing supplies. I had a new job yesterday, and Kirk was here working, but we got it done. But the highlight of the day, we got a few things done, and they were there, and it was just joyful. But the most joyous part of the day was sitting down all together, and there was the contractor and his two guys, and Kirk and myself having lunch. And it was only the main fellow who spoke English. But we got in a conversation and talked about going to Oaxaca, and Kirk was bringing out pictures, and we talked about all the places in Oaxaca. And the older man was asking a question that I couldn't quite understand. And so Emilio deciphered it and said, he wants to know if you have been to Alabrijas. Alabrijas is a place in Oaxaca where they do wood carving and painting of animal figurines. This is a little one, but they get really big. And it's Mexican Oaxacan folk art. And it's done with all different generations of families. And I ran into my office and got this out. And the older man, he had tears in his eyes. Because his family, he looked at the back and they're all signed. And his family worked there and was part of the painting and carving. And so a day that could have been, you can just fill it in, but could have been pretty bad, turned out to be the most wonderful, loving, connecting day. And we left in love and peace. And of course, it's going to cost a lot more work and a lot more time, but it was the most beautiful connection. And Emilio also said, I have a house in Oaxaca that you can go to anytime, because mi casa es su casa. How beautiful is that? So raising consciousness is really about lifting our thoughts and attitudes and feelings above the chattering of the mind and the busyness of the situations, and finding something bigger, 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 bigger. And that's what I know we can all do. And especially, Grace, when you lead the grief group, you know that it's about lifting up to something bigger. And it brings understanding. It's not about denial or ignoring, but it's about a greater understanding. There's something more at work always, always. And so I think the hardest part is when we get frustrated with problems that are coming down on us, we kind of freeze, right? We get frozen and not know what to do. And rising in consciousness, you got to be fluid. You got to be willing to move. You have to be willing to rise up and be involved. You know, Rainier Maria Rilke, a late 19th century Austrian poet and novelist. He was also known for his mysticism in his work. He said, we need to live the questions. Step into the question and live it. Don't be afraid of things going wrong and not knowing what to do, but be fully involved and open to the moreness that wants to be revealed. We have to be willing to step in and be involved. So if we think about what is it we want to rise up from? Well, the things that keep us limited, things that keep us stuck in the same old, the things that keep us down and not willing to be open. As you so beautifully said this morning, we have to be available to something more that wants to work through us. There's so much good. And the thing I believe that keeps us limited the most is living in duality. You know, this physical world is about duality. Our minds need black, white, good, bad, right, wrong, masculine, feminine, hot, cold. We need the opposites to make sense of things. But the problem is, how do we think about the opposites? We look at the opposites so often as conflicting when we look out in the world, these conflicting energies, but they're not conflicting. They're part of a balancing force. They're like two ends of a pole that balance the world. We just have to look at them differently and accept, oh, this is part of life. Where do I fit? When we rise up, we realize that it's our thoughts and our beliefs and our perceptions that can either shackle us in that grip of separateness, or it can lead us to a place of oneness and connection. We have to decide what we want to do. Now, the Bible told us how many thousands of years ago we need to do not conform to the pattern of the world, but be transformed by your mind. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. The Bhagavad Gita, a Hindu script written 5,000 years ago, in the Bhagavad Gita, it says there would be no wrongdoing if we didn't live in the delusion of opposites, if we didn't live in that delusion and realized it's all about oneness. So if we're going to change our mind, and this is what, I'm not her, Shiloh Sophia said this so beautifully, and my quote was, "You must be the change you want to see in the world," by Gandhi. I mean, we have to be that change. We have to understand it's our responsibility. So rising in consciousness is about taking responsibility for our life. Instead of pointing our finger in blame, we've got 6 fingers pointing back at us, right? If we're pointing out there in the world, we have to be the change. We have to take that responsibility. There was a man, a doctor, a professor of medicine, and his name is Dr. John Kabat-Zinn, I think. And he said, you can't stop the waves, but you can learn how to surf. Don't you love that? I asked Kirk if he could play a little Beach Boys, but he said no. Anyway, good try. When we think about that, we have to be at that place in our life where our mind is open enough in consciousness that we can find the space between what's going on and our response. You know what I'm talking about? There is a space. Something happens in the world, and we get to respond or react to it. But no matter what we choose, there's a space in between. And it's that space that's going to give us either freedom, possibilities, or not. We have to learn how to use that space to control our consciousness so we can be in charge of our life. We might call that space the mystery, because I love to think of God and the universe and life as a mystery unfolding. And if we look at a mystery, when we're in the mystery of things, what does it wake up in us? Curiosity? Creativity? It wakes up a newness that there's something more that we don't know about yet. I read a quote from a fellow I don't know, but I like this, and it said, "Curiosity will conquer fear even more than bravery will." Isn't that it? Curiosity, wondering, being in the wonder of things. Albert Einstein said the most beautiful thing we can experience is the mysterious. It is the source of all true art and science. He said, "I have no special talent. I'm only passionately curious." Passionately curious. Once we've opened our mind in curiosity, once we've opened our mind to something new, we can't shrink it back. We keep opening and evolving to something new and something more that wants to happen. So I want you to think, if you were to step into a question in your life right now and live the question, what Rilke said is when you live the question and you're open, the answer always shows up. If we say, what's possible here? What more can there be? There's something more than I know is going on right now. And I think most of us have had to live in that what's possible lately because there's so much confusion and possibility, but we can see a little movement, some people coming together and things going on. We can see some change happening. I want you to celebrate the changes. Celebrate the small pieces of goodness you see, because we have to consciously praise life. We have to consciously do it. That's a little choice. That little space right there, we can choose to get angry, upset, anxious, or we can choose to say, let me see the good. What's the good I can see? What good is going on here? So we can rise up to something better. Rise up to a better experience in life. It's our choice. When Rumi said, out beyond the ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there's a field. I'll meet you there. When a soul lies down in that grass, ideas, language, even the phrase each other doesn't make any sense. If we think about that pole of opposites and really decide we want to rise up in consciousness, we want to think of it as a triangle. A triangle. At the top of the triangle is oneness. One God, one presence, one life. The unity of everything that is out picturing in all these different ways. My view for us is if we view life as this triangle, oneness, life, God, the all that is, the opposites, the poles that define things here on earth, and we choose to stand in the middle of this triangle, and we rise up to the ever outstretched hand of God and reach out to put our arm around humanity. Another quote by Eckhart Tolle. He says, love is the recognition of oneness in a world of duality. Look, and when we live from that place of oneness, we can start being that love and compassion and bringing understanding to the world, being gentler with ourselves, taking better care of ourselves and others. So I want to make a decision today for all of us. I see all of us standing in the middle of that triangle, being open to the allness of life and recognizing whatever it is that we can rise up to something greater. So I want you to say, because I know just talking to so many people and in my own life, there's lots of things going on, lots of topsy-turvy things at work right now in life. And I know that our spiritual power to rise up is right in here, the place where heaven and earth meet, right here in the heart. And it's this decision and choice we make every moment to rise up. So the topic is, I rise up today. Can you say that? So I'm going to say 2 words, and I want you to follow it with, I rise up today. Now, some of these may fit for you, and some you may Say, okay, well, I'll rise up, but I'm pretty high up there anyway. Okay. In prosperity. In health. In happiness. In peace. In friendship. In cooperation. In compassion. In friendship. In love. In love. In love. Boy, if we start there, what else is there? So when we leave today, my request for myself, of course, and all of us, is that we choose love over fear. We choose compassion over indifference. And we choose faith over fear, joy over anger, that we choose goodness instead of judgment. And we could go on and on and on. But when we choose to rise up in even just one of those areas, we not only make ourselves, but this world a more beautiful place. When we choose those, I'll tell you what we're doing. We're feeling good all the time and getting even better. Please know how much this community means to me, and I know to all of us. We're in this journey together, and how blessed we are. I say thank you, thank you, thank you for being here, being part of this journey that we're taking together in this evolution of this beautiful thing we call life. Thank you, thank you, thank you.